Okay, during the break I've done a little bit more so that you don't have to sit here and watch me paint all day, though you might want to. I've added another layer or wash of color into the background, and in some places I've intentionally let it drip. I'll go over that a little bit more. I've started adding some of the creases in the flower petals. I've added a little bit more color in places. Saw that I needed to separate the two petals here. And there was also a petal that I missed, or a leaf back here that I missed. So I did that. You're not going to miss anything. It's just that I've got to get this in the can so that I can get it edited and online. So what I want to explain to you, whenever you are painting something that has shape or form, you want your brush strokes to follow the shape. These petals have curves to them, and so you want your brush strokes to follow the curves. And with flower petals, all of the lines go back up to this central point. That's where all of the leaves start. So all of the veins, all of the crinkles and everything, they all kind of focus back to there. You know, these focus back up to here. And I'll go over how to create those. Now I'm still working with that blue and ultramarine blue and alizarin crimson that I mixed up before. And that's what I'm going to be using. I've got my up here I've got my flower that I'm working from. And that is where I can see it. And that's where I'm going to be working. So come down here, and you just, like before, we're just going to put in a little bit of paint. Follow it back up towards where it's going to attach to the flower. You don't need to paint it all at once. You do it one step at a time. If you look at some of these art magazines and read the descriptions that the artists will give, some of these people do 30, 40 layers of things. So this is just the second or third layer on what I've been doing. These are the little creases. Some of them you can see go probably all the way back up. Others just kind of fade in. I've rinsed my brush. This is just water on my brush now, just to soften those edges on what I've done. Don't need to do a lot here. A lot of times less is more. And it's hard because sometimes we start feeling so good about something, we just get carried away. Just do a few more of these. Everything that I do here is repeated throughout this leaf or this petal. So I'm just softening, following it back up. They will all meet back up underneath our little pom-pom there. And finish this out the way you want to. You know, if you like it at a certain stage, leave it for a few days and make that decision. And then leave it there. You don't have to do everything I'm doing. Sometimes I'm picking up just little dabs of paint on my palette where I have something that's just really thin. Just putting that in there. Come over here to these creases. Add my paint, rinse my brush, dry it off. It's just a damp brush. And then soften the edges. Over here on this one, a little more paint. Now this one kind of turns up and curves back and goes back up and goes back under the center there. Rinse my brush. It's just a damp brush. I have a sponge and I also have a towel over here that I can wipe my brush off. Okay, I'm going to add a little more color to the edge of this. Because this part here is in shadow. Rinse my brush. And I'm just softening the edge and kind of pulling the paint up with it. Just picked up a little more paint on my brush. Now right under this petal, there's a shadow on this petal. So I'm going to take my blue with my alizarin crimson. I just mixed up a little bit more. I'm going to pick it up on the end of my brush and I'm going to come right in here, kind of roll up on the tip of the brush and create that shadow. Shadows will give your painting dimension. This is just water and I'm softening that edge. Up underneath here, I'm just going to add another layer of color. It's always darkest up underneath something. That's a cast shadow. As it moves away from the cast shadow, it gets a little bit lighter. Okay, so I'm going to break so that I can refocus because I want a little bit stronger view of this. So give me a second, we'll be right back. Okay, we're back. I've refocused so you could see what I'm doing here a little better. I'm going to be using, this is a 1/4 inch angle brush. Yes, I have angle brushes in all sizes. I have yellow on here, and to that paint on my palette I added just a little bit of orange. You want kind of a golden color. Let me get this. so I can overemphasize what I'm doing. Remember, everything has a shape. They're not just sticking out at angles like this. If you look at them, you'll see that they're curved. All of these are like little commas, and that's what I'm going to be doing. They're very small, but they're little curves, and they all go in. Don't be afraid to overlap either, because they overlap in the flower. But that's what I'm going to be doing. So my orange with it's yellow with orange is what it is, rather than orange with yellow. And this time I'll use probably the tip of this and just make a series of little strokes. Now this side's the sunny side. The sun is coming in from the right hand side, so we have the sun over here. Now yes, I could make it more realistic if I want. That's up to you. You can be more precise if you want. This is as precise as I'm going to get here. This right in here is just I guess our little stamens are coming towards me. And so you see, when you look at the photograph, you'll see that it's just like a little series of dots in there. And then we get down into this part, and you see a little more of the, as they droop down. Again, I've got the photograph right in front of me, and I am looking at that a lot. Just moved it where I could see it a little better even. You know, artists can do things that, you know, speak to them. There are botanical painters that do absolute detail. But I think for most of us, what we want to do is just get something that looks sort of like what it's supposed to look like. And that's fine. You know, I've loosened up my style of painting. Otherwise, this would be like a 4-day video. You know, and I'm happier with what I do as well. Right, now to that orange and yellow, I'm going to add a little bit of the naphthol red. Because if you see here, it does change a little bit of color. So I'm changing the color. It's in the shadows. Pull some of that up into the other, so there's sort of a transition. My brush is helping out. It's split so that I can do 2 at once. Come back and I'm going to add a little more orange. The more water you have in your paint, the lighter it's going to become. So I just wanted to add a little more orange, get a little bit richer color to this. Don't want to overpaint this. I just want it enough to suggest what it is. Okay, I'm going to let that dry and I'm going to refocus. So hang in there.